The Milwaukee River, in the meantime, blossomed as a center of recreation. Lake Michigan was considered too rough and too cold. The river above the North Avenue Dam, by contrast, was accessible, warm, protected, within easy reach of thousands by foot or by streetcar. That made a big difference in the age of one-day weekends. Our ancestors all worked 6 days a week, so they wanted to use their Sundays to maximum advantage. As a result, the Upper River became a sort of in-town up north.
There were entire fleets of wooden canoes filled with boaters in their Sunday best. The river attracted single guys cruising for company and young women who were quite content to paddle their own canoes. There were even canoe clubs, including one with its own boathouse on the West Bank. The river also supported 3 swimming schools just above the dam. Here's Beckstein's with an imported sand beach, and Whitaker's, which catered to women and children. And here's the gang at Roan's on the West Bank. Roan's had a high dive for the intrepid, but plenty of room for beginners. Students were dangled like bait until they got their strokes down. Roan's was a German establishment, and you can almost hear the instructor counting 1, 2, 1, 2. Just across the river was Shoot the Chutes, a water slide that opened on July 4th, 1896. A local reporter described it as a great place to take a date.
It is adventuresome enough to make it fascinating to young people, and there is an additional delight in the irresistible impulse with which the young man's sweetheart clings to his shoulder just before the plunge.
And if you lacked a date, or the slide seemed too adventuresome, you could always pedal instead of paddle on your own amphibious bicycle. Shoot the Chutes cost a dime, but you could also enjoy the river for free. Gordon Park had an actual beach, complete with water slides and a changing house with separate sides for boys and girls. A century later, the foundations are in rough shape, but still in place. A number of wealthy German families had summer homes on the Upper River. This was the Kern Farm, owned by a flour miller whose main plant was on Kilbourne's old canal. When school ended in spring, the Kerns moved their entire household out to a rural paradise, where the kids could go wading for crayfish, the old folks could enjoy a glass of wine from their riverside vineyard, and the whole family could go for a ride in their own gondola. When school resumed in fall, the Kerns went back to the bustle of city life, never traveling more than 3 miles from downtown Milwaukee. Today, their old farm is Kern Park. Just across the river was a full-fledged amusement park called Wonderland, also known as Mineral Springs, Coney Island, and Ravenna Park at various times. Wonderland featured a carousel, a water slide, and a state-of-the-art wooden roller coaster. Here's a wonderfully candid portrait of the Wonderland staff. Our Victorian ancestors did know how to smile. Their old workplace, its rides long gone, is now Hubbard Park, part of the Shorewood Village system. From North Avenue to Capitol Drive, the riverbank was lined with attractions. By the mid-1870s, you could take a boat from downtown to the dam and then transfer to a steam-powered launch that stopped at all the resorts for a fare of 15 cents. That's about $3 today. Writing in 1879, a reporter estimated that up to 3,000 people made the trip every Sunday, and not everyone came in search of innocent fun. He singled out the dance hall at a place called Whitaker's Grove.
Here you can indulge in the waltz with young women in muslin gowns without the formality of an introduction, it is said.
But the reporter also waxed rhapsodic about moonlight excursions on the Upper River.
Nothing can be prettier than the scene of a little steamer with her headlight throwing a lurid glare ahead, slowly making her way up the river, towing a barge in which are gaily dressed maidens and young men passing through the salutary figures of the dance. And as the sound of soft music comes over the waters and dies away in the groves, the effect is indescribable.
It's hard to imagine that scene today and easy to feel just a little envious of our ancestors. The stream wasn't only for summertime amusement. As soon as the water turned to ice, Milwaukeeans came down to the river in droves. Hockey was a popular sport, played without face masks or elbow pads. And Gordon Park was the scene of well-attended speed skating races. This meet was held in 1926. For those craving more excitement, Gordon Park had a full-size ski jump that drew daredevils from all over the region. Other activities were for everyone. Around the time of World War I, the city staged elaborate ice carnivals on the river between Gordon and Riverside Parks. In 1917, some friend of the future brought a movie camera down to record the action. In this rare footage, figure skaters show off their best moves. Racket enthusiasts play ice tennis on skates. Kids tumble headlong down a makeshift ski jump. And there are all sorts of races. Chair races, wheelbarrow races, and kicksled races. Even the friendly neighborhood cops got into the act. The Ice Carnival gave Junior a chance to try out his new skis, and the family mutt a chance to play sled dog. It was too cold for bicycle races, so there were icicle races, with skate blades taking the place of front tires. The sport was so unique that it makes modern viewers want to stop their riders in their tracks. But Milwaukeeans didn't need carnivals to bring them to the river. When the ice was good, skaters of all ages and abilities could glide from North Avenue to Capitol Drive, a distance of 2 miles. Summer or winter, the Milwaukee River was the place to play. Decades before Wisconsin Dells even existed, the river was one long, continuous water park.